This is all I've done that I haven't shown on videos yet. There are some little bits here and there, but they're going to have to wait until some parts arrive, etc. I'll speak about them just a little bit. And that was just doing these Canopy magnets, and I did it exactly like they showed here. I glued the two magnets in the bottom part with epoxy, put blue tape over them. Don't know if this is exactly what they wanted done, but I put the magnet on top of the blue tape for the top, the canopy part, and put epoxy on them. Then I closed up the canopy and taped blue tape around the canopy itself to hold the two pieces together. When I open it up here in a few minutes, I hope to find the magnets nicely aligned and glued into both places and working well. If not, then I'll drop back, punt, and try something else. That's the only thing I haven't showed. Now right here in the instructions, the next piece they talk about right here is that piece of wood that goes underneath the fuselage right here. This screw holds the battery tray and lets it slide back and forth and tighten down the battery tray. You can barely see inside that hole. Then they've got these 4 screws here for a gimbal mount. I have a part coming. I don't know when it'll ship from China. It may not be here till March. So I haven't glued this plywood plate onto the bottom of that fuselage yet because these holes might not align for what I ordered. I'll have to wait till it comes in. I may have to make other holes in this, or who knows, I may have to just make a whole new part like this. We'll see when that part comes in. I won't be able to do that. I did not put this magnet in that holds the bottom, this part. There's a magnet on the bottom, little catches. This slides in these 2 slots and closes this area if you don't want to use it, or it also holds a GoPro in the front here if you want to do it that way. I don't. I did not put this little part across. I'm not doing anything in there. I'm not putting these parts on. I'm not putting this part on because I don't really have a GoPro to fly in it. So here's the screw I was talking about, goes through that bottom plate that I haven't put on yet that lets the battery tray slide forward and back. I also have not technically, let's see if I can find it real quick, installed the servo right here and put the linkages in for the nose steering. This right here I have not done yet. I just put this part in so I could set it up on the floor normally and see how it sets. All that's not done yet. I'm not sure when I will do this. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this nose steering servo. Thought about putting it on a Y connector with one of the elevators in the back. I don't know if that's going to work out. I'll have to wait until I get a flight controller in and such and see if I can do that, where when you use the rudder control right and left on the control radio, if it'll move this exactly the way it needs to be moved. You might be able to do that by putting a Y connector on one of the A-tails in the back. If it doesn't work in the correct direction, you may be able to switch it over to the other one. I'm not quite sure yet. I just really don't want to use a separate channel for that. I really do want it functioning with the rudder for takeoffs, because that would work in conjunction with the rudder perfectly to really keep a wing from dipping, etc., etc., etc. So I haven't done this part yet. And the rear gears, not really torqued down or anything, it's just put on so I could, like I say, set it in the floor as a full airplane. I'm probably going to take it back off and the front gear back off so I can balance it laterally, although this is a little bit of a flat surface back there that will hinder that a little bit. And then put the gear back on and balance it again laterally, which may be more difficult than without the gear. I don't know. That's the reason I haven't put the servo in. I'm still thinking that. So that's the only things that I have done, this portion right here, that I can show. And then we'll be waiting on parts to arrive so I can figure out how I'm going to do this bottom plate. And then when I get the gear on, it will be fully 100% the airframe itself built. Let's go over and see how well I did the magnets on the Canopy. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, let's see how this worked out. Don't want to get that piece of blue tape underneath, just this top one. And there's holding the canopy closed. Now, will I be able to open the canopy or not? Hell no. How about that? Nope, didn't work the way I wanted it to. That canopy's epoxied shut. Isn't that a lot of fun? I was worried about doing it the way they said, but I did it anyway. Okay, I put a screwdriver in the side of it where the magnets were and kind of stuck it in and pried on it. You can see right here where I messed up the foam a little bit. But let's see what we've got. And we've got one magnet went into the canopy like it should, and the other one didn't. So this side didn't work. Looks like there wasn't enough epoxy on that. So one side worked, one side didn't. I'm going to have to try this again. How about that? So it looks like this side did well. So based on what I see, I'm going to go back and do it my own way. And this time I'm just going to glue this magnet into this top piece of the canopy, and that should work. This did line up well with this. So I'm not really saying their way doesn't work. I'm saying it didn't work for me. But okay, one side did work for me, the other side didn't. So I'll epoxy this in here and we'll see how it closes again and after it sits for a while. And in looking at this, the other magnet that did sort of glue in is not very secure. So I was saying that it halfway worked for me, but it didn't really work at all. I'm just going to have to do it my own way by gluing them in here and then putting them in. So I have to tighten this one up with some epoxy, and I have to put this one in completely. Okay, I pulled on the other magnet that seemed to be epoxied in. It came out really fairly easily. So I just put epoxy in the area where the magnet wants to go, put the magnets on there, pressed them down a little bit. I'm going to let that sit for several hours and then we'll try that. I hate that. That did seem like a pretty good way to do it to me. Guess I should look at these. A little excess epoxy on the blue tape, it wouldn't keep it from closing if it stayed on it. Just a little bit excess epoxy there. Other than that, that magnet is well secured in there. Let's check the other side. Yep. So the magnets that are in the fuselage did well. Got a little epoxy on the top of them, but probably sand that off. It won't matter anyway. So these did well using their method. These two, not so much. But I think in 2 or 3 hours I'll have what I want. And this is the bottom plate I haven't put in yet either, that I was talking about. Yeah, kind of bulky. It goes like this under here, and then a gimbal camera, other things. Something I have ordered from China right now will attach to this. And I have to get that figured out before I glue this part in. So gluing this part in and doing this steering servo is about all that's left. But I will show those when I do finish those, as I finish them. And while I was waiting for the epoxy to dry, I looked at a few more things. This spinner, it's got places in it for the blade to go, but it doesn't work with this particular prop, so I'm not going to put it on. I probably would mess it up anyway and put it on not balanced and induce vibrations into my prop. So, and I've taken the prop back off because I'm going to have to. I can't reach inside to connect these wires. In case it's rotating the wrong direction, I need to switch 2 of them. I'm going to have to leave it out until I get that motor direction correct. So we're still watching epoxy dry here. And I took a little 1000 grit sandpaper and sanded the magnets in the front that had epoxy on top of them. It came off so fast it wasn't even funny. So that little problem has been alleviated really quickly and easily. Less than a minute. I was surprised how fast that worked. So again, we're back to waiting for epoxy to dry. Well, the epoxy's had time to cure. I'll let it fully cure overnight, and then I'll sand these. There is a little excess on the edges and stuff. But now I've got what I want. It holds really well. So that's that. That's all I'm going to be doing on it for a while. I've started looking at the electronics. There's some problems with it, and I'll show you that. But that's pretty much it for the frame, airframe of the airplane itself for now. Thank you, guys.